Hey guys, Harrison101 back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and welcome to our race review for the Chinese Grand Prix, a race that, in my opinion, was awesome, and it had a little bit of everything. It had drama, it had a very high tension start, it had a lot of alternative strategies, some great passing, some crashes, it had a little bit of everything, and even had a grandstand finish at the end, which I'll talk to later. But the big news coming out of this weekend, Fernando Alonso wins the Chinese Grand Prix in dominant fashion, cruised his way through. He started from P3, had his usual Ferrari really solid start. Got up to the back of Hamilton, who was struggling as the top six, pardon me, were all running on the softer compound tyres, which are only good for about 5 to 6 laps. So Alonso got to the back of Hamilton, passed him, and just took control of the race from there, really. Never looked back after that first pass, and while the rest of the field pretty much scrapped it out for the other positions. Just a very dominant drive from Alonso, one of his best, and I think that's his 31st race victory, which puts him 5th now, according to David Coulthard, in the all-time wins list. Next on that list for him is Ayrton Senna, I believe. Kimi Raikonnen, everybody loves Kimi Raikonnen, a very solid second place for him, despite getting damage from a tangle with Sergio Perez, who seemed to be very, very defensive in when it came to letting cars through, often using multiple defensive maneuvers to stop cars from passing, and Perez pushed Raikkonen right the way around and rather wide into turn 4, and lost a bit of his front wing. Well, the car was fine, luckily he kept going with it and didn't lose too much speed, but Raikkonen was satisfied with a second place. A good result from him and keeps him right in the world title hunt. Lewis Hamilton just didn't quite have the race pace. It wasn't good on the soft tyres. He lost a lot of track position in doing that, but was solid the rest of the way around to get another 3rd place. Again, more solid consistency from Lewis Hamilton, the same thing he had at the start of last season, where he had 3 straight 3rd places and was still leading the World Championship. Fastest lap of the race and 4th place to Sebastian Vettel. Great drive from here to start from 9th and eventually finish in 4th. He was one of the guys that was on the harder compound tyres, the medium compound, to start the race due to the fact he didn't run a time in Q3 after qualifying 9th. His strategy worked out very nicely in the end, and we had a real grandstand finish towards the end of the race, as he was 14 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton out of the final pit stop with 5 laps to go on the softer compound tyres, and he drove the Red Bull to the absolute limit. He set a 1:36.8, nearly 1.2 seconds faster than anyone else's fastest lap, trying to chase down Hamilton, and he may have got him on the DRS into the last couple of corners if it wasn't for a lock-up on the final lap going into that chicane before the massive back straight. Maybe that cost him a shot at 3rd, but I think he'll still be pretty happy with 4th place in the grand scheme of things. Running out the rest of the grid, Jenson Button 5th, on again another guy on the harder compound. Very solid drive for McLaren, showed some real improvement at this race, that's good news for them. Felipe Massa, solid as usual in P6. A great drive for Daniel Ricciardo, picking up, I think that's Toro Rosso's 1st points of the season in 7th. Great drive from him. Paul di Resta in 8th, had some controversy, him tangling with Sutil early on, but settled down into 8th place. Romain Grosjean in the 2nd Lotus in 9th. Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the points in 10th. The rest of the grid, Sergio Perez 11th, Jean-Éric Vergne 12th, Valtteri Bottas 13th, Pastor 14th, the last of the unlapped drivers, Jules Bianchi 15th, Charles Pic 16th, Chilton 17th, Van der Garde 18th, the last of the runners. 4 retirements, Nico Rosberg, who I think he said had a rear roll bar failure, which caused his car to stop working. Mark Webber, who actually tangled with Jean-Éric Vergne, he probably thought his car was Sebastian Vettel's or something and missed. Took out, hit Vergne. Had to get his car repaired, and it seemed like the rear wheel actually came off the car, which caused his sudden retirement. And yeah, the rear tyre came off, and the tyre almost hit Vettel's car. It was like something out of the Wacky Races cartoon. You just could not make it up. It was brilliant. Great comedic moment, but just not a very good weekend at all for Mark Webber. Adrian Sutil, who was smashed into the back of his car by a bit of an over-eager Esteban Gutierrez from the Sauber, and those were the 4 retirements. But bear in mind, these are only preliminary results. It looks to me as if 8 drivers are currently under investigation for using DRS in a yellow flag zone to overtake, including Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber, and I think guys like Valtteri Bottas is in there as well, but I'm pretty sure it's 8 drivers. So these results are provisional. There's a whole heap of suspensions they could hand out, such as reprimands. They could hand out 20-second time penalties, 30-second time penalties. They can remove you from the results of the race. They can suspend you for the next race, or they can hand out grid drops for the next race, which is in Bahrain next weekend. So that'll be very interesting. If anything happens, I will comment below and I'll add it to the description, or maybe via an annotation to say update, blah 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 has happened, etc. etc. But let me know what you thought of the Chinese Grand Prix and your thoughts on what happened. I think it was a cracking race, and we've got an early contender for Race of the Year. I thought it was excellent. But until then, I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.